Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Weeknights. I am JD, aka He Who Pods. Glasses on today, so also rearview mirror.
And I'm Dash, aka Dashing D, aka the real king of R&B.
All right, well, there is a topic swirling about all over the internet. It's something that has been going on for a while, but a legend decided to join the chats, join in on the topic, and I think put a stop to things. But for context, let's talk about it. So there's an ex-football player. He's also a podcaster and a sports analyst or sports commentator. I'm not sure how he identifies, but there's a man named RG3, and he's been very critical of Angel Reece in many ways. And some people have said some things. One of his colleagues spoke out against him and said that he believed it was, I guess you could say, racially motivated. He called out the fact that, I believe his name is Ryan Clark, if I'm getting the name correct. If not, please forgive me. But he said that, some of the struggles that RG3 doesn't understand that black women go through is because he's had two white wives. And so RG3, and I'm pretty sure his name is Ryan Clark, they had some back and forth. Just want to pull it up to make sure I'm correct here on the name. And that was going on for a little while. And then Shaq entered the conversation. I can't play it because it's too early in our broadcast, and YouTube doesn't like it when we play certain things in the beginning of our broadcast, curse words, etc. But Shaq said enough is enough. Shaq said, if you do it again, I'm going to smack the shit out of you. I think you could say shit at this time in the broadcast. And he kept going. He said he's going to put hands on him in the name of the Lord. I'm paraphrasing. Shaq did not use that language. And the internet is reacting. So I wanted to.
Sorry. For context, I just wanted to note, I'm not sure if you said it, I just wanted to note that Shaq is a mentor to Angel Reece. He actually has a relationship with Angel Reece, so he's not just speaking about her without knowledge of who she is or, of her background and whatnot. They are, as far as I know, they're pretty tight, and he is the mentor to her.
Right. I was trying to find if it was Ryan Clark. I'm pretty sure it was. Yes, Shaq is a mentor of Angel Reece. They have a personal relationship. Yeah, Ryan Clark is his name. I was right. Yeah, Shaq. Shaq has a relationship with Angel Reece. He's been on her podcast. He has mentored her, and he even made sure to say in his comment on his podcast that he is in fact the person telling her not to respond to RG3 because she has wanted to respond. She has wanted to stand up for herself. And he's tried to tell her to be the bigger person. But Shaq felt he needed to step in and let RG3 know that it's time to stop. So, your thoughts?
Well, I do want to point out that RG3 at some point in this exchange did post about racism against Angel Reece, where someone took a poster of her and turned it into a monkey.
Yeah, they took the cover of a video game.
The cover of the video game, but it's like this, it looked like it was in poster form or whatnot to, show people that she was on the cover of it. And instead of, they removed the image of her and replaced her with a monkey. And he then proceeds to go on X and write this really long commentary about Angel Reece and saying that he does not support racism and people need to stop doing this. Now, I want to point out that in order to do this, he reposted the monkey photo, which to me is confusing. If you are trying to tell people not to share this photo and not to encourage this type of behavior, it was very confusing to me why he would repost it. unless he had
Mhm.
malicious intent. Also, in that he takes it as an opportunity to say that Angel Reece hates Caitlin Clark. So further stirring the pot,
Yep.
and then veiling it as support for Angel Reece, which
Right.
by the time you get to the middle of what he said, you're like, wait, are you for this person or are you against them?
Right. I was trying to pull up the tweet, but I don't think it's in the thing we have saved.
Oh,
But
but if
you
you just
said it. I was gonna pull some quotes, but you said it. What he did was he took the opportunity to shit on Angel Reece with the post. He made it seem for just a second like he was gonna stand up for her, and then he proceeded to shit on her through sarcasm and other ways. And in the words of the movie Inception, your deception was obvious. We can tell what you were doing. And so people had things to say when he did that. And now Shaq has chimed in. So
this was the act of coward. Like, this is cowardice if I've ever seen it. I'm not mad at Shaq for standing up for her. She's a young girl, like, and I understand the position she's in, where these, as an athlete, you can say whatever you want to say to the sports commentators, right? Like, you are at liberty to speak freely, or within the confines of whatever your terms and agreement is with the company you work for, right? So whatever team Angel Reese plays for, Caitlin Clark, whoever it is, like, they kind of act within the confines of these conduct codes that they have to, um,
I
that they
hereby.
sign off on when they sign their contracts. But we all have free will, right? Like, if you really wanted to respond to somebody, you could. But I understand the position you're in, when you also don't want to look like you're trying to battle with the media, or you're trying to quell people's free speech. And these are also the people who control the narrative about you, and about the way you play, and about how well you do, and about what happens when you don't do well. And of course, you don't really want to be on the bad side of those people, because they do get to control the conversation. They do get to create the narrative. So I could understand that being complicated, coupled with just being a Black woman and existing in the world, is challenging at times. So, and then having someone pretend to give a shit and then continue to treat you that way, that's got to be a lot for Angel Reese. That's got to be a lot for anyone who goes through something like that. But again, like I said, she's still just starting out. She's new to the game. As far as I'm concerned, she's killing it. She kills it on the court. She's got her podcast that she's doing. She's definitely building a name for herself and building a life for herself, really. So I understand why somebody like Shaq, who actually has the opportunity to speak about these things, who actually has the platform to go to bat for somebody, and to be able to, he also is a part of the group who can control the narrative and can create the conversations that need to be had.
Absolutely.
Honestly, I appreciate him a lot, on behalf of the Black Women Coalition. I appreciate him a lot for that, because someone like her needs someone like him to stand up for her. Sometimes we need someone like that to stand up for us. I'm not encouraging violence by any means. All I'm saying is, sometimes you need somebody to stand up for you. Sometimes you need somebody to advocate for you. And who better than basketball legend Shaquille O'Neal? Um, so, and that guy needs to crawl into whatever hole it is he lives in, and just stay there. Because leave her alone. As far as I'm concerned, you can totally do your job, and you can totally discuss things that have to do with these players and whatnot, but you could do it in a way where you don't end up feuding with them
Yeah,
or antagonizing them.
there's a difference between critiquing the sport, critiquing the way someone played, and bashing them. We can say, which
Hmm.
we say up here all the time, we can say so and so's album really wasn't good for these reasons. They've done better before. It's another thing to say, man, so and so is really a piece of shit. They shouldn't even do this. They
I've done both.
fucking are terrible. In fact, I hope they get run over by a car. It's like,
I
yo,
would never say that, but I've done both.
two very different things. And I think that it becomes a sticky situation when you go from one side over to the other. Because
Yeah.
going on these huge $1 billion funded, going on platforms that are funded by billions of dollars and sponsors and, are pushed on the clips, not the clips, the rappers, the clips of the internet, the video snippets that go out. They have the power to promote these things and reach far more than, our small platform, right? And when you work for that type of a platform, even if you're not a Stephen A. Smith, because of the type of job you have, you're able to reach a large audience. So
Yeah.
saying derogatory things, putting a person down on a public platform of that magnitude comes with a level of responsibility. And I think that it gets really, really challenging when you cross a certain line, which he has crossed. And I, for one, feel like, hey, I have been a Shaq fan since I was a wee lad. And Shaq has continued to show why we should be fans of him through business, through morals, through ethics. He just be killing shit. And I feel like also, maybe I shouldn't say this. I don't know. If you feel it needs to come out, we can edit it out. But I feel like Shaq will make good on his threat and smack the shit out you.
He might. He might. And, at least he's not talking about the girls in Texas. Like his crony.
I mean, like,
It's Texas, right? It's the girls in Texas that Oakley talks about. Barkley.
I was about to say
Barkley.
Oakland. Yeah, Barkley.
Barkley.
I just think
The video, like, if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, please, please go to TikTok and just search Charles Barkley, Texas women. It shouldn't be funny, but it is. They'll say I'm toxic. Maybe I am.
we all are. We all have some level of toxicity, is what I'll say. And this toxicity, I stand for. A celebrity, a legend, threatening someone in the field, standing up for his mentee, standing up for a sister, standing up for another athlete. I think it's great. I think it's great. And I think we need more of that. I think if more of the OGs, if more of the elder statesmen were to speak up and stand up for the younger people who need some backing, because everyone don't. Some of these people be acting a fool, and that's not who I'm talking about. But Angel Reese is trying to play ball. She's doing a good job, and she's doing her job. Like Shaq said, yo, you got your podcast, you got your job. That's it, man. Enough. You don't need to
Yeah.
be doing all of that shit. So I agree with Shaq. I'm happy that Shaq did this. And I'm proud to be a Shaq fan from way back in the 90s. Make me feel like, yes, Shaq, still winning the big games.
Also, Angel Reese would be well within her right to say whatever.
But she
I
got
know she
bigger fish to
won't.
fry.
I know she won't.
Well, Shaq told her
And she
not to.
shouldn't. I know she won't, and she shouldn't, and I understand why she shouldn't. But also, there is a thing of we shouldn't we shouldn't have to be told that we can't defend ourselves when people are clearly targeting us, when people are clearly trying to take us out of a certain space. What happens is you end up being told that you have to be the bigger person, which in a lot of cases it will benefit you to be the bigger person. But being told that you can't defend yourself when someone just keeps digging is a lot.
I
And
agree.
my only point here is that she deserves that much, right? Like she deserves the privilege of being able to defend herself, because I'm sure she can stand up for herself. I'm sure she doesn't need Shaq to do it for her. But I understand why it's of her benefit not to. It just kind of sucks, because I can understand a person feeling like, I want to defend myself, but I can't defend myself. And there's so much to lose in defending myself. And what that means sometimes, how that translates sometimes, is that the person who's doing it to you will just keep doing it because they know that you're in an awkward position, not because you don't want to, but because you are trying to protect everything else that you're doing and you're working on.
Yeah, she stands to lose a lot. Shaq doesn't really have anything to lose.
No,
Shaq would be
because
fine even if he lost a contract or two.
yeah,
So yeah,
I
let
want to go
Shaq
on
do it.
Shaq Kid.
Let Shaq do it. You know,
Right.
and don't lose the things that are just starting to go well for you. I
Yeah.
think Angel Reece has a long career ahead of her, and why put a stain on your career now? In fact, letting Shaq handle it, listening to Shaq, actually does more for you than
Yeah.
anything else, because you're gonna get a short momentary feeling of, oh, I feel relieved that I stood up for myself, but you're gonna
Hmm.
lose contracts, sponsorships, future deals. Who
Yeah.
knows what nonsense will come from it. But doing the other thing, they notice that too. And they'll say,
Hmm.
oh, okay, this is a person who can take the heat. This is a person who can put their head down and keep doing what needs to be done despite what's coming at them. All right, yeah, so maybe she could be the face of this company. Maybe she could be the brand ambassador for this other thing.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. Um,
Okay, I think I was about to say something. Um, well, there is someone who has something to say. You know, Mr. 22 Kids has something he'd like to share with us. Mr. Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon has made an important decision.
that's what it is.
I think it's important. And this is from the Hollywood Reporter.
Okay.
It says Nick Cannon, the launch podcast, giving relationship advice. It says Nick Cannon is launching a relationship advice podcast. The quote, Nick Cannon at Night. Oh, excuse me. The podcast, comma, Nick Cannon at Night will see the actor and rapper open up his personal DMs and answer written questions from listeners about love, sex, relationships, and dating questions. Cannon will tape the show in front of a live audience in Los Angeles and will also bring in topical experts and celebrity guests for each episode. First, I'd like to say,
Okay.
I know he has a long standing relationship with Nickelodeon,
I was thinking the exact same thing.
but are they okay with him
I was
jacking their
thinking the
shit?
exact. I
Because Nick at Night was a legit long running thing. And maybe it's still a thing. I don't know. I've aged out.
I don't think so.
But Nick at Night was a long running, long standing staple. And I'm sure Mr. Cannon is aware of this.
Yeah. I'm pretty.
So
I'm
I just
certain.
wonder, did he ask them, hey, is it all right if I give y'all the remix? That's number one.
Well, before you move on, a better question, I guess, might be: is it affiliated with Paramount? Because it could be. Paramount is growing their digital section of the business at this point. So maybe that's a possibility, right? He's had, like you said, he's had a long-standing relationship with the company, So maybe I don't know. It's a question. I don't have an answer to that.
Number two is Nick Cannon in a relationship?
Well, I was gonna ask you because I don't really have a thought on this. And the reason I don't have a thought on this is because I think I need to establish an answer to my question first. And my question was going to be, what qualifies a person to give relationship advice? And the reason I ask this question is
Yeah.
because I think some people are terrible in their own relationships, but actually good at giving advice. I also think that some people, a lot of those people are not actually certified relationship experts. However, there are people who do exist in that space and, should be elevated as such. So before I decide that Nick Cannon can't give relationship advice, because for me it's a question mark, it's like, where my instinct is to say, where does he get off? But I also want to be mindful because honestly, I have considered doing relationship coaching courses to try to become a relationship expert. I think it's a really cool thing. Whatever. There's a whole list of reasons why I would do it. But Nick Cannon, as far as I know, is not like qualified by any certification or anything like that. So my question to you is, what qualify, like, in your eyes, because I think we'll all probably have maybe a different answer for this, but what qualifies a person to give relationship advice? Do you
Okay,
have to be
so
in a successful relationship to do it? And I think that's where the question comes for a lot of people. Have people had successful relationships, people who are not actually experts?
well, I am of the belief that anyone with knowledge can spread knowledge. Anyone with
With that.
experience can give advice based off what they've experienced. But the internet
Also.
does not feel that way. If you're
Okay.
a life coach, they ask, well, what kind of life do you live? If you're a
Right.
marriage counselor, they want to know how long you've been married. And so I am not of the belief that you need
Mm-hmm.
doctorates and, PhDs and master's degrees and,
Mm-hmm.
6-year certifications and licenses to
Mm-hmm.
do certain things. Now, if I need to go get my elbow checked because it's really hurting me and I can't figure out what's wrong, no, I don't want Dash's advice for that. I would like to go see a medical professional.
Because
But
you hurt your elbow
everything,
and needed to get it checked. I mean, but what if I had an elbow injury before?
then maybe I would hear you out. But I want to go see a licensed professional. Now, I don't think that applies to everything in life, but the internet does. And so for me, I think your question is a great question. I ask myself that question all the time because I don't have a license or a master's or a PhD, but I do things that, are advice or informative for others. And
Uh,
so I often wonder, hey, if I go viral tomorrow, what they gonna
mhm.
ask and what they gonna say? Now, that's my take. Again, I understand the internet is strongly against that. They think if you're a relationship expert, you better be in a relationship. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I think
I
what
don't agree
matters
with that. Your
more,
therapist has a therapist.
right? I think what matters more is the things coming out of your mouth.
Right.
Meaning, are you saying shit that makes sense? Are you saying shit that we can look up and validate? Like if a person is supposed to be a sex expert and they don't know where the clitoris is, then I'm going to have to go somewhere else. But that don't necessarily mean to me that they need to
And
have a
right.
PhD and all of those things. But if they're
And you're
saying
assuming they
things,
know where it is.
well, that's
Because
what I'm
unless
saying. If
there's
the things they're
diagrams and
saying,
things like that, you wouldn't even know they don't know where it is.
right. So my question is, are the things you're saying valid? Do they make sense? Are they legit? Because what I believe is it doesn't matter in certain fields if a person does have a PhD, a master's, a doctorate, a license, if they're saying nonsense. Because I'm supposed to use my
Okay.
critical brain to say, oh, person A said the clitoris is on top of the forehead. Okay, that doesn't make any fucking sense. So does it matter what this person has as a license or whatever? It doesn't.
But what I do think matters now that we're talking about it, sometimes, I need to talk things through to get to where I'm going. I think the thing that might be important here is credibility, right? I think that is what's important. So the credibility doesn't have to come from a successful relationship. However, it can. I think that people are more susceptible, let's say marriage counselors specifically. I think people are more susceptible to a marriage counselor who has a successful marriage because they're able to see how that person implemented that in their own life. That makes them more credible to say, these are the tools that you need and this is what works. Right? I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm just trying to establish how people find credible sources in others. So I think that that's probably what's most important here is being able to get people to buy into what you're saying. I don't know a whole lot about Nick Cannon's relationships. I do know that he used to be married to Mariah Carey, and I know that he's had children with her, and I know that since then he has had multiple children with multiple women. Some might even say, how did you fumble Mariah Carey? And so I think that the issue with Nick Cannon, now that I think about it, is I don't know that I look at Nick Cannon as someone who's credible to speak, to give relationship advice, right? Because I don't know where I'm supposed to get where I'm supposed to build that trust in him. Because outside of his businesses and him being on television and him being in movies, what we do know about him, like personally, is that he isn't really a stable guy.
He's a bachelor.
He's a bachelor, which is fine. And if that's what he wants to do, right? Like if his niche is teaching people how to date or teaching people about non-monogamy and stuff like that, maybe then I'd say, okay, like he's probably very credible in doing that based on what we know about him. But part of what people who have certifications and things like that do, or people who have like proven, like let's say Nick Cannon used to go on his Instagram and do lives. And in his lives, people would ask him questions and he would answer people's questions. And then, like, somehow it became a thing where people now contact him and ask him questions and he posts it and he answers them. Him starting a relationship podcast after that, I'd be like, oh, people have already bought into what he has to say. So this makes sense to me. This doesn't make sense to me because I feel like we have nothing to go off of. There's no starting place with it. Whereas I think that sometimes you have to have a starting point for people. Well, for him, I guess the starting point is he's a celebrity. People are going to tune in. People are going to pay attention
Correct.
to it because he's famous, but not
And
necessarily because he has something of importance to say.
they know he's gonna bring in topical guests, topical
Right.
experts, and other celebrities. That already makes you want to watch it, right? Or tune
Yeah, I
in,
think
or
it'll be interesting to
whatever.
watch.
Now, also, I believe, and I probably should have said this better in the beginning, but I think real world experience matters.
Agree.
I worked with kids for a long time, and I would often meet people who on day one would walk in and say, well, I have a master's degree. And so I know how kids are. And they don't know shit because they have no
They've never
life
worked with children
experience.
before.
The
Yeah, of
moment a
course.
kid jumps on top of a table, they're like, oh my God, is that kid on top of a table? I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
he does this every Wednesday because his dad does not pick him up on Wednesdays. And he misses his dad. It's like, what? Missing your dad makes you jump on top of a table? Yes, that was not in chapter 7. Welcome to the real world. And in that same regard, Nick Cannon was married to Mariah Carey for 6 years. Now, we know he's a bachelor since then. But I think 5 years or more of marriage gives you a little bit of life experience to be able
Maybe.
to say some things. Now, I'm curious about these topical experts. I don't give a fuck about the celebrities
I
personally
don't care about the celebrities either. Like, are you actually going to bring out
because
people who really have something to say and who really have something to offer to the conversation, who can understand that people are different, but also sometimes the same, can understand that people have trauma, they can understand that people have different needs, and do you understand compromise? Like, there are so many different things that you have to be able to understand to help people with stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he shouldn't do it, because again, I had a whole podcast at one point that was about my experiences in dating and relationships and marriage and what that would look like, and my co-host was married, so there was like it was a whole thing. I'm all for people doing these sorts of things. I just is Nick Cannon, so I think I'm just a little wary of the Nick Cannon thing. I think Nick Cannon really does, try to capitalize on the buzz around him and the fact that he's fathered all these children.
yeah, and I think also we know he's good at picking guests because we saw for a long time he's had the podcast Cannon's Class, and he's good at bringing up different experts in different fields so we could kind of learn something. That's kind of the gist of it. And
Mhm.
so I think that if he's going to take that same or a similar approach to this show, then it could hold some merit. Because maybe he'll say,
Okay.
well, I've never been in a polyamorous relationship, but here's an expert on polyamorous relationships. And
Which
so
is
if it's
fine.
going to be DMs and questions, maybe, I don't know when Nick Cannon has done, this is all example, but maybe he'll read it and say, JD718 has a question about polyamory, and I'm not sure about this. Let's go to our polyamorous expert. And then the polyamorous expert will weigh in, and that could be good.
It could be. I mean, listen, I'd check it out. I'm not saying I wouldn't. I'm just asking the questions because, I think it's a fair question to ask when, like sometimes people just create things just, for the buck, not necessarily because it's something they're qualified to do, or just, or the buck and the entertainment of it all. And the entertainment of it all is what's going to give you the buck. I'm
Yeah, and sometimes you have a
curious
passion
about it.
for something, and I think that's okay too. I think
Yeah, of
bringing in
course.
other people can help with that as well. Like sometimes you have a passion for something, and you're like, man, I really like Ninja Turtles, but I just
Hmm.
like the way that they like act. They're just like these cool, weird creatures. But I don't really know shit about the Ninja Turtles. I need to
Right.
get somebody in here who knows about the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. I respect that. I respect that. I just had to ask the questions that I'm sure people, when they saw this, I'm sure there were some people who were like, "You okay?"
Yeah, again, I think it's a great question. I ask that question all the time to myself. Should I talk about this topic? Should I not? How will people receive it? That's something I think about all the time when doing
Mhm.
that solo show I do sometimes.
Yeah, you got to be able to stand on your opinions, but also look at it from another point of view and think about it in the way that people will also receive it. So I get it. I understand. Again, I've had my history with doing things like that also. So maybe the question is for myself as well, and just thinking about like what makes people think I'm somebody who could speak on, certain things, or whatever the case may be. And sometimes a lot of times, most of the time, it is the buy-in. Like there's got to be an entry point. Um and it's easier for some of us than others, like just having the cachet of being a celebrity and being someone who's been known for 25 years
All right,
is
being famous has been
it
very helpful to me.
yeah, that's
Super
wonderful.
helpful. So
I
helpful.
listen, I mean, I'm trying to ride off of your celebrity at this point to see how
Um,
far I could get. That's
yeah.
really the reason why you're my co-host.
And now that the Epstein list is gone, they'll never know who my real friends are, you know?
They'll never know. They'll never know. So I'm just grateful that I could be here amongst all of this greatness and high profile, celebrity highness, so that I
You're
could
welcome.
reap some of the benefits of it.
Bask in it.
I'm trying to. I mean, the people just love me because of you.
There it is. I'm saying people helping people is powerful stuff.
Listen, you really are the celebrity of the podcast. So that is real shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Weeknights. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. We probably see you tomorrow.
Probably.
Bye.
Bye.